Hey, welcome back, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. We're sort of, I guess, talking about maybe not what makes an American, but whether or not those questions are even useful. Are they more? There's so much. I feel like they're kind of a distraction. Those kinds of questions, just sophistry to focus on them when we have issues of policy or issues of practicality we could be talking about.
Well, and I it's useful to talk about what truly defines an American. I think that is a conversation that's useful. Is it being born here? Is it, service to your country? Is it, what is it that makes us an American? I believe that conversation is useful. Keep in mind, this is a hack job from the DNC, putting this war veteran, this parent who's lost their child, which is terrible, up there to attack Donald Trump. And it's just as terrible for Donald Trump to, not be able to respond in a way that can be heard. That's part of the problem with Donald Trump is the way he says things, you can't hear it. Like the thing I wrote about was Donald Trump's comment on Ukraine. Right, he was talking about Ukraine. He was talking about Vladimir Putin, and it was the George Stephanopoulos interview, and so I watched that. And the problem is I watched the interview, and I didn't have a problem with it. I thought Trump hit the practical political reality right on the head. The problem is when you break it down and you take a look at it, you go, yeah, a lot of people can't hear how he said it. It's the same thing here. I don't think this, with all due respect to Mr. Khan, because I don't want to denigrate anybody who's lost a child in the service of the country, but and I'm not going to. But he brought up several things challenging Donald Trump, including he's never served, and not having served your country in the military does not necessarily mean you're not a good American or not a patriot. I know you're a patriot. I'm a patriot. Neither one of us has served. And I think there's a lot of things that, if it was taken out of the political realm, wouldn't have been said. But the problem is it's now politics. Mr. Khan has a position and a point to make. I think Donald Trump could have responded in a much better way, because going back and forth with a guy who's lost his child in service of his country isn't really part of the thing. I mean, the issue boils down to, what do we do about radical anybody? Radical Islam, Christianity, Buddhism, whatever it might be. And I think Trump has one approach, but simply banning every Muslim is not an approach that's practical, nor is it what America is based on.
Well, I'll break in there, because I guess I'm
go off in the wrong direction.
Well, no, not necessarily. I'm having a tough time. Kind of, I can't give Trump the equivalency here. I mean, he's backed off the comments about banning Muslims. When he's challenged on that, he says, "Hey, look, all I said was that we're going to ban certain Muslims until we figure out what's going on." But to call it a hatchet job to have this guy up there, I mean, basically the thing that Donald Trump had a problem with was this guy, waving the Constitution around and then saying that Donald Trump hadn't sacrificed anything. And a lot of conservatives had a problem with that. And I did read one thing where I just wish the friend of mine that posted it would stop digging, where this other vet said, hey, this other vet wrote this open letter or whatever and said, hey, Khan, you can't say this kind of stuff because we have this all-volunteer military, so to suggest that you've sacrificed something is wrong. Your son sacrificed his life, not you. You didn't sacrifice anything. Completely, I think that's wrong-headed, completely insensitive. I think that any parent that has a child willing to serve in a military fashion gives up a great deal and is potentially, sacrificing letting their own child do that. and supporting them and in that endeavor. I don't think that it would be appropriate for any military family to be accused of not sacrificing something because they didn't personally go and serve. In the same way, so he's making those comments about Donald Trump. Donald Trump saying that he sacrificed because of all his business accomplishments, but to call it a hatchet job because to push that sort of point of view. The Republicans did the same sort of thing, and so while I'm not saying it's okay for one to do it and not for the other, but if we're going to drill down into what's proper to do, was it proper to have the mother of one of the soldiers who died in Benghazi up there to call Hillary Clinton a liar? Was that okay, and why? What's the principle that we're arguing about here? Because the things that Khizr Khan said were factual. The things that this mother said. And not just factual, but can be proven. This thing this mother said, we have to take her word for it, pretty much. So, what specifically is the principle? If you call this a hatchet job, exactly what are you talking about?
Well, the thing is, it's all political, and this guy got up there and was talking about, how Muslims have supported America. And they have. I mean, there's always been Muslims in the military, for crying out loud, and they're part of society, American society. But part of the thing is to get up there and characterize Donald Trump, one, as a racist all the time, when in fact all he has really done is say, "Listen, here's a problem. We need to fix it." And honestly, the way he's suggested we fix it is the way the Europeans are dealing with it at the moment. Honest to goodness, is just a hatchet job, utilizing his son. Now, as far as getting somebody up there to talk about how their son was sacrificed in, hold on, I shouldn't say sacrificed because that's not the right phrase, but the mother of one of the dead heroes in Benghazi. You say it's all hearsay and you had to take what she says. Well, the problem is if you look at what you're going to define as, this is, tried and true, I think a lot of it comes from perspective. What you view as, these are facts and these are not. From my perspective, I think there's a middle ground between, here's somebody's opinion that's been formulated from what they know, and here's somebody else's opinion is formulated from what they know. Well, I think we can both agree that Donald Trump's response to this probably isn't going to help him.
Well, it hasn't helped. We're coming up on another break. We're going to talk about sort of the aftermath, not necessarily because of this back and forth with this this Muslim war hero's father and mother on Twitter. We're not going to talk so much about that anymore, but we definitely need to talk about these post-convention bounces and
yes.
And the polling that's coming. Because I know that you've been following that over there in Ukraine, and what to make of it. Because I've got a lot of thoughts on this, and I want to hear what you have to say. So,
well, great. I'm looking forward to it.
We're gonna take a short break. Please check out our sponsors. We got Des Moines Anesthesia at 515-574-6442. The best anesthesia pain management folks in the business. We got Halo Capital, DesMoinesInterestrates.com. They do a lot of stuff in the financial sector that I'm sure that our listeners out there will be very interested in. Levinas Law Firm at LevinasLawFirm.com. That's my shop. Petrosian Associates at PetrosianAssociates.com. That is Doc's outfit. We do what we do as well as we can, and we couldn't do what we do here without you. So please come back. We have more.